Welcome to another FAQ Monday, everybody. Good morning and salutations. And I am excited because I got a new office chair and I'm swiveling in it and it's awesome. My last one, I got it at a surplus store, like a military surplus store in 1998 for like $25. I got it at the same time, right around the same time I got my my desk. And that chair was completely out of gas. It was shot. And it was time for a replacement. So this new chair feels weird. I'll be honest, but I'm digging it. I like the swivel. I swivel a lot. Lots of swiveling going on. Resting my arm. It's cool. Not awkward. Not awkward. Got a little awkward. I apologize. First question. Hey Fluff, should I save my money and buy a Mesa 212 with Celestine V30s? Or build my own cab, or buy a cheap used one and just replace the speakers with V30s. I have tried many a cab over the years, and if it's one thing I have learned and try to preach to everyone that will listen is do not cheap out on your cab. Do not do it. A cheap cab sounds like poo. It's a scientific fact. It really is. I asked a scientist buddy and he was like, oh no, it's totally science, cheap cabs are terrible. And speaker replacements will only go so far. Really what makes a good cab is the quality of its construction. And if it's sealed on the inside, which will give better low end response, and so on and so forth. So you, sir, I would recommend saving the money and buying a 212 Mesa cab. Other cab makers that are very, very good are Emperor that you can get on for really inexpensive, surprisingly inexpensive, and they're wonderful cabs. Janus cabs, Omega cabs, Port City, are all very wonderful. Even Avatar cabs, great cabs. Nothing bad to say about those guys at all. They make good stuff. So check those out if you're looking to get one on the cheap. Hey Fluff, what do you think about pedals like the Morpheus Drop Tune or the Digitech, the Drop/Whammy DT? Do you think these are good substitutes for guitar players that don't have extra guitars for other tunings? Cheers, nice Chapman guitar by the way. That is not a Chapman guitar that you guys saw in the last week's episode. I saw a lot of debate of what it was, and actually, it is a Gibson Les Paul, and it's just a exposed neck LPJ. It's because all the LPJs have a maple neck. So, just for information, sorry it's not a Chapman Guitars, although I would love to play a Chapman guitar for you guys in the video, but it was Gibson, I'm sorry. Anyway, to the question. To a point, I think the drop tune pedals like the Morpheus and the new Digitech drop tune drop pedal can be a good band-aid, especially in a live setting. They do work fairly well. The Morpheus, I actually had the Morpheus, and I even made a Mastodon cover several years ago. You can actually check that out right here if you want to. Made it of Curl of the Burl, and it's very old, so go easy on me. But it was actually pretty decent for what it was. Now, once you venture past, you know, a step and a half, the Morpheus got really, really flimsy and shaky and really was unsure of itself, is the best way I can describe it. The tracking didn't get so good. However, the Whammy stuff, they are really the ones that invented the technology. And the drop pedal, the newest drop pedal, the single package drop pedal is amazing. The Digitech rep let all of us over that were hanging out at the Randall booth this last NAMM with my buddy Ola, Mr. Ola England, and Jason Frankhauser, and a couple other guys. We were all playing with a prototype of that drop pedal, and we were astounded how good it was. It tracks so well, full chords sound awesome, and it does change the tone a little bit, but it actually makes it sound a little bit more analog, if that makes sense. It was warm, and it was really good. So if you are going to use one of those pedals, I highly recommend the Digitech one, because it was by far the best one I've ever used, and I don't usually like those kinds of pedals, but I will definitely be picking one up at some point soon just to show you guys. I think you guys would really like it, and for you guys who don't have lots of guitars, I think that would be a very good option. Fluff, could you discuss picks? Recently I've been seeing a lot of people talking about high-end picks such as Wind Spear and V picks. Do these expensive things really make a difference? Thanks. Guitar picks have a huge effect of your overall tone, and I think they're often really overlooked, much like the tires of your car. They're very critical, and they're actually where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. Case in point, many years ago, when I was first starting recording, I was having problems getting clarity in my bass strings. The bass strings were probably dead and I wanted something a little bit more, so I actually ordered a gravity pick. This is a very old gravity pick. And this is a Gravity Razor XL 1.5 pick. This has been on every bass track you have ever heard me play on anything ever. And it's just wonderful. It really made the bass notes pop, which was really important when I was detuning to drop A at the time, I think. And I haven't actually used gravity picks for guitar, although I do think they sound wonderful. I can't get used to the slipperiness. Once you start playing for a while, the pick just kind of slips out, which is a huge reason why I use the Dunlop Oltex Jazz 3 XL picks currently, because they're a little textured. But those, I really like the harder material. You know, the nylon will round off the note a little bit more coming off the string, and the harder material, such as this plastic from Gravity, will really give you a definition and an attack on your strings. Now, it's all personal preference. It's all just whatever you're looking for. But yes, the more expensive picks are expensive because these things are actually shaped by hand individually, and they are expensive. They are worth the money, in my opinion. Hey man, notice you got a sweet deal on a Cal 50 Plus. Congrats. Would you mind pointing out how it differs in sound from the Mark Series amps? Love your stuff. I recently got and scored a mega deal of the century. I got this Mesa Boogie. It's a 50 Cal Plus amp from, I think it's 91-ish. Between 90 and 92 is when they were basically made. I scored it for less than 400 bucks, and the guy was buying a solid state orange head to replace it. And I said, shut up and take my money. And I got it. And this is the amp that Pepper Keenan used, not the exact amp, this is the same model amp that Pepper Keenan used for most of his Corrosion of Conformity days. And this is also the rhythm tone that you hear on the very first Down record, Down Nola. And I was just randomly searching, and I never really see the heads. I see the combos quite often, but I never really see the heads, especially for that cheap. And I placed a bid, and I won the auction, and I couldn't believe it. And it's in unbelievable condition. It's sat in a basement for 20 years, judging by the amount of cat hair that was in the graphic EQ sliders when I got it. However, the differences between the 50 Cal and the Mark are not a lot. This is basically a Mark Series amp without all of the bells and whistles. For all intents and purposes, the 50 Cal Plus is basically a Mark III. Now, it's a little fuller than the Rhythm 2 channel on the Mark III, so I'm told. It's been many, many years since I have tried a Mesa Boogie Mark III. It's been like 10 years. So my recollection is pretty foggy on the Mark III. It sounds just like a Mark III, however, you definitely can hear some of the Mark IV honk, in my opinion. It's not fully Mark III, it is very Mark III. But there is a little bit of Mark IV in the amp, and the clean channel is wonderful, and I actually like the spring reverb better on this amp than I do the Mark III. What are your thoughts on Dimebag Darrell and Pantera? Do you still jam to it when the time's right? Of course. Pantera was a massive influence on myself, and while I don't play anything like Dimebag Darrell, and I will never ever play anything that well, what I did take away from Pantera was groove. And from a very early age, I learned that groove was most important in a song of the metal genre, of course. And when Far Beyond Driven came out, I actually went with my cousin Dennis, and we went to Blockbuster Music at the time. I think it was Blockbuster, maybe it was Warehouse Music or something like that, one of those old chains that have long gone. And I got Far Beyond Driven, and it was the heaviest thing I had ever heard in my entire life. And it was actually so aggressive, I actually didn't let my parents know that I actually had it, and I wouldn't play it in my room. I would only play it on headphones because it was just so mind-blowingly heavy. I was sure that they would come in and take it away from me. And when Far Beyond Driven came out, I was 14, I think. Just started playing guitar. And it was so beyond anything I'd ever heard. Interesting story, Vulgar Display of Power was the one album that was stuck in my CD player in my old pickup truck when I made my initial trek when I moved down to California in 2005. and I had no cell phone. I had no communication with anyone for 2 days while I drove down to California, and the only thing I listened to the entire 2 days straight was Vulgar Display of Power. And it was amazing. I got lost in the album, and I later got to meet Terry Dave because my friends recorded with him, and awesome. No, Pantera probably, I would say, in the top 3 best metal bands of all time. Of all time, ever. Best musicians ever. Just my opinion though. Hey Fluff, with all your amps, I was wondering if you still use your Kemper that much? Have amp heads taken over? You know, it's kind of ironic because I use the Kemper every single day, writing and tracking DIs and things like that, and just messing around when I can't crank up an amp, which isn't that often. And I use the Kemper constantly, but I haven't made an actual video for you guys in a really long time now that I'm thinking about it. I'm usually using the amps. And it's been the single best purchase I have made in my home studio, bar none. So I don't know, maybe I'll make some profiles of these current amps and give them to you guys or something like that to say I'm sorry. But I don't know if you guys would want super awesome profiles of my amps. You guys probably wouldn't like that at all. This week, my suggestion of the week is the new Devin Townsend album, Ziltoid 2, and Z2, and it is an amazing album, and I think everybody should give it a listen. Even if you haven't normally been into Devin Townsend, I think you would really like this record. The man is just brilliant. I just cannot even say more. The man is just, oh, it's so good. So good. At any rate, thank you so much for watching. If you have a question, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments. Or if you want to do it anonymously, do it in my Ask FM account thing. And I will see you next week. Check, check, 1, 2, check. Cause I'm the miggity mac. Miggity mac. Miggity mac. Guess you're not into crisscross.